Welcome to the Corrosion channel. My name is احتشام زاده. I am a researcher in the field of corrosion and protection of materials. Please watch video number E28 for more information about this channel. Chapter 9, Section 8, Risk-Based Inspection. In this video, types of RBI assessment, risk-based inspection analysis methods, RBI method descriptions. The reference is Elements of a Risk-Based Inspection Program, API Recommended Practice 580. Types of RBI assessment. 1. Risk-based inspection analysis in general. 1. RBI is a methodology that uses relative risk as a basis for prioritizing and managing the efforts of an inspection program. 2. The overall RBI process also incorporates the efforts of monitoring and mitigation activities to help manage risk. 3. It provides focus on the inspection activity to specifically address threats to the integrity of the equipment. 4. The probability of failure and consequence of failure are assessed and then combined to determine the risk of failure. 5. Risk is compared and prioritized for inspection planning and risk mitigation. 6. Some quantitative RBI programs also identify and measure the relative uncertainties associated with ascertaining the condition of the equipment. 7. Such a program uses risk to identify and prioritize when those uncertainties must be reduced, typically by improved knowledge through additional data gathering. 8. This may be achieved by verification of actual degradation rates or actual condition of equipment via inspection and monitoring methods. 9. As an illustration, implementation of IOWs, use of permanently mounted monitoring probes, or complete equipment scanning are all examples of methodology and technology that may be used to reduce uncertainty. IOW stands for Integrity Operating Window. Integrity Operating Windows established limits for process variables parameters that can affect the integrity of the equipment if the process operation deviates from the established limits for a predetermined amount of time. An RBI assessment should include the following. A. Systems or processes within an operation prioritized by risk. B. Equipment ranking based on risk. C. Determined risk value or category associated with an equipment item within a system or process based on a consistent methodology. 2. Risk-based inspection analysis methods. An RBI program is based on relative risk, and it is imperative that the RBI assessment be performed consistently. RBI assessment methods can be 1. Qualitative, 2. Quantitative, or 3. Semi-quantitative. The choice of RBI assessment method is dependent on multiple variables such as, but not limited to: 1. Objective of the assessment. 2. Number of facilities and equipment items in the assessment. 3. Available resources. 4. Length of time that the assessment is valid. 5. Complexity of facilities and processes. 6. Nature and quality of available data. 7. Risk differentiation between equipment. And 8. Degree of precision desired. Each method provides a systematic way to screen for risk, identify areas of potential concern, and develop a prioritized list for more in-depth inspection or analysis. Also, each method develops a risk ranking measure to be used for separately evaluating the POF and the credible COF. These two values are then combined to estimate the risk of failure. Risk equals probability of failure, or POF, times consequence of failure, or COF. The chosen method should be selected at the beginning of the analysis process and carried through to completion. However, the method may be changed, that is, the analysis may increase or decrease the quantitative degree as the analysis progresses due to the quality and quantity of data being obtained. Overall, the consistency of the method will be vital to comparing results from one risk assessment to the next. The spectrum of risk analysis should be visualized as a continuum with qualitative and quantitative methods being the two extremes of the continuum and everything in between being a semi-quantitative method. The figure on the next slide. Use of expert opinion shall be included in a risk assessment regardless of type or level. Continuum of RBI methods. Qualitative RBI, quantitative RBI. Semi-quantitative. In the quantitative RBI method, detail of RBI analysis is high, while in the qualitative RBI, detail of RBI analysis is low. 3. RBI method descriptions. 3.1. Continuum of methods. In practice, an RBI program typically uses aspects of qualitative, semi-quantitative, and quantitative methods. For a continuum approach, these methods are considered as complementary rather than competing. For example, a high-level qualitative method could be used at a unit level to select the unit within a facility that provides the highest risk equipment for further analysis. Higher risk systems and equipment within the unit may then be screened using a quantitative method. Another example could be to use a qualitative COF combined with a semi-quantitative POF. When performing risk analysis across different equipment, a single site or multiple sites, the user is cautioned about comparing specific results unless the same or very similar RBI methodologies and assumptions were applied. The user is also cautioned against drawing conclusions about different results when different methodologies are used to evaluate the same piece of equipment. Most risk results are relative in nature, therefore, the results of any one methodology should be viewed as a relative risk ranking as determined by the specific methodology selected. 3.2. Qualitative method. The qualitative method requires data inputs based on descriptive information using engineering judgment, subject matter expertise, and experience as the basis for the POF and COF. Inputs are often provided in data ranges instead of discrete values. Results are typically given in qualitative terms such as high, medium, and low, although numerical values may also be associated with these categories. The value of this type of analysis is that it enables completion of a risk assessment in the absence of detailed data. The accuracy of results from a qualitative analysis is more dependent upon the background and expertise of the risk analysts and team members and whether a detailed procedure is being used consistently. Qualitative methods are less precise than quantitative methods, but not necessarily less accurate. Qualitative methods can be effective for initial screening of units, equipment, and may prove beneficial when attempting to prioritize where to begin a quantitative methodology. If used as the sole methodology, it should be known that qualitative methods are generally more conservative than quantitative methods and will typically generate more conservative mitigation and inspection plan recommendations. Qualitative methods are generally more difficult to reproduce than quantitative risk assessments. Reproducibility: the variation observed when different operators measure the same part using the same device. More about reproducibility and accuracy versus precision is available in the video titled Chapter 9, Section 7 or video number E45. 3.3 Semi-quantitative method. Semi-quantitative is a term that describes any method that has aspects derived from both a qualitative and more data-intensive, albeit theoretical, fully quantitative method. A semi-quantitative method is geared to obtain the measured benefits of both the qualitative and quantitative methods, for example, speed of the qualitative and rigor of the quantitative. The majority of RBI assessments performed fall into the semi-quantitative realm due to the enormity of the extent of data and calculations required for the quantitative risk assessments. Often even qualitative approaches will have some quantitative elements for a set COF and or POF. With that being said, most RBI methodologies are categorized as semi-quantitative risk assessments. The results are usually given in COF and POF categories or as risk numbers, but numerical values may be associated with each category to permit calculation of risk and the application of appropriate risk acceptance criteria. With most semi-quantitative approaches, model-based methods are used where numerical values are calculated and more discrete input data are used. The advantages are: A. Calculates with standardized precision, that is, typically produces more repeatable risk results. B. Discrimination between equipment risk allowing prioritization of mitigation. C. Trending and monitoring risk exposure over time, as well as other metrics. D. Benchmarking of results to allow for POF and COF trending and comparisons. Many of the semi-quantitative methods require a software program to calculate risk and will generate standardized inspection program recommendations. These methods provide for a means of prioritizing equipment risk in a risk matrix or isorisk plot. Additionally, they can provide for calculations of discrete risk values for prioritization from higher to lower risk. Equipment items are ranked based on risk with POF, COF, and risk calculated and reported separately to aid identification of major contributors to risk or risk drivers. Note: there are differences in the RBI methodologies that are available, using widely varying degrees of quantitative and qualitative approaches, analytical methodologies, level, complexity of analysis, etc., relative to the individual risk assessments of POF and COF. The owner-operator should review the program in use or as a potential for utilization to understand the premise for the analysis and its limitations. 3-4 Quantitative methods. Quantitative RBI programs should be viewed as theoretical due to the lack of fully quantitative data sets and corresponding modeling that captures all aspects of a risk scenario. RBI for the petrochemical industry produces a relative risk ranking where no absolute risk values are generated as an output of an RBI assessment. Although there are RBI methods that, using mathematical, Bayesian, and/or more comprehensive modeling functionally, could be viewed as quantitative, the concept of a fully quantitative RBI approach has yet to be realized and/or applied in the petrochemical industry. The spectrum of risk analysis should consider qualitative and quantitative approaches being the two extremes and everything in between being a semi-quantitative approach. Challenge number 46. Thank you for your time and attention. If you like to challenge yourself, please answer these questions in the comments below. 1. What are the 3 methods of risk-based inspection analysis? 2. Which variables is the choice of RBI assessment method dependent on? 3. Is API recommended practice 581 an example of a semi-quantitative risk analysis methodology?